I'd like to just give a very brief thank you to our sponsor, Wesco. They are a Fortune 500 company and a leading distributor of electrical construction products and electrical and industrial maintenance, repair, and operating supplies. They're headquartered in Pittsburgh, and they're seeking dynamic individuals in all stages of professional development who are interested in taking a leading role in an entrepreneurial environment and looking for a fast-paced, rewarding career in sales or supply chain management. So if you're interested in any sales jobs or any positions in supply chain management, you can see hundreds of their job openings right now, which are mainly across Pennsylvania, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Arizona. You can find all of those on gettinghired.com. So without further ado, I will introduce David Mitchell, who will be taking you through the work incentives to help you return to work. I'm just making David the presenter now so he can take over. Okay, David, feel free to get started whenever you like.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nickel. This is David Mitchell with Maryland Work Incentives Network. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, for maybe a few of you this morning. And just remember, no matter what the weather is outside, baseball has started, and in my book, that means we have spring. So, 3 questions. What is WIPA? I'll be describing what our project is. What are work incentives, the ticket program, differences between SSI and SSDI, and the work incentives for each of those, and where do you go to get more help? I mean, I'm going to be throwing an awful lot of information at you today, and whenever that happens to me, I almost always have more questions. Where do you go after this? I'll be giving all that to you. So we can move along here and describe the next slide, if I may. I think, next, there we go. Work incentives planning and assistance. All right. This is a program that's available all across the country that's created and funded by Social Security. There are WIPA programs in every state. A lot of states have more than one program. There are nearly 100 of them. They all provide free services to people who receive SSI and SSDI, helping them understand and use work incentives. Then these work incentives, when used, can help the person become more independent, independent financially. The first name of that is work, and that means work is a good thing. And this is all part of Social Security's stated policy that work is a good thing when you know the process. Okay? Well, all right, who is served by WIPA? Like I mentioned, anybody who receives SSI and SSDI based on their own disability and between the ages of 14 and retirement. And my name David Mitchell. It provides individualized work incentive counseling for Social Security and Supplemental Security income beneficiaries, that's SSI and SSDI, who are working or actively pursuing work. Okay, we're, pardon us, we're trying to find where we are on the slideshow. All right, what are work incentives? Work incentives are, there are 2 types. They're employment support programs funded by Social Security. Primarily, this is the ticket program, Ticket to Work, and also every state has its own vocational rehabilitation program that is available to them, that is funded in part by their own state and by the Social Security. the major portion of what we're going to talk about today are using work incentives to manage benefits. And this is going to be news to some people that by using these, people can help keep some or all of their cash benefits while working. A lot of people think that if you work, everything they're getting from the government comes to a grinding halt. Not necessarily. And more importantly to many people is you can keep your health benefits, your Medicare, your Medicaid, while working. All right? So, moving along. Let's talk a bit about the ticket program. Ticket to Work is completely free to anybody receiving SSI or SSDI. The ticket pays for services that help a person find or retain a job. The ticket is optional. It belongs to the individual. If the person does whatever they want, they can assign it to any employment network, and I'll talk about employment networks in a moment, you choose, that agrees to work with the person. You don't have to use it at all, but if you don't want to. But for some people, it can be very, very helpful. Okay, moving along. All right, the ticket does exactly two things. All right, it can help pay for services from employment networks, and then again, ideally, those services will help a person find or retain work. And by using it, a person can, and making timely progress, a person can use that to protect themselves from medical reviews by Social Security. Take along. All right, so let's talk about employment networks. These are organizations, agencies that are contracted with Social Security to provide services. And what does a service mean? It can mean all kinds of different things. Each employment network is different in what they do and how they do it. Some operate local, some are regional, some operate nationwide. The services vary widely. It's a very loose definition of what the word service means, as long as you can show that somehow or another it'll help somebody find or keep a job. All right? What I generally tell people is to, when you want to use your ticket, sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and write down what specifically do you need. And not just, I want a job. Everyone wants a job. It is what kind of job? What do you need to help you get that job? Do you need training, adaptive equipment, transportation, a decent resume put together? What will help you achieve your goals? Then you contact these employment networks and say, okay, what do you do? How do you do it? This is what I'm looking for. Find the right match for you. Okay? Moving along. Okay, next slide, please. I'm sorry, SSI and SSDI, what is the difference? Social Security administers two types of disability benefits. The rules and work incentives for each of them are very different. It is important to know which one you have when you get benefits, all right? But when somebody calls me up and starts asking me questions about what they can do, how they work, the first question I have back to them is, which benefits do you receive? Until I get that answer, there's not much I can do for them, all right? And some people do get both benefits, which makes life that much more interesting. All right, moving along. I'm not sure if the function we were going to use this on this work, but I want to know if anybody knows if they have SSI, if anybody knows they have SSDI. How many people don't know which one they have either? Let's talk about SSI for a minute. Supplemental Security Income, a needs-based program for people who are over 65, blind or disabled, and have very limited income and resources. Social Security calls it resources. Most people call it assets or money in the bank. All right, it basically has to be poor. It is a poverty-based program. Okay, next. Social Security Disability Insurance. SSDI is a benefit for people who have worked, and paid into the Social Security system. All right, when I say pay, that is you work, you earn money, you get taxed on that money you earned. Some of those taxes go to Social Security and go in, and they track that. you work a certain amount of money and over a certain period of time, you get insured status. At some point, you get insured status, and if after that you become disabled, you can get SSDI. In some situations, somebody can get benefits based off of a parent's record or a deceased spouse record. Okay? Moving up. All right, let's go to SSDI. All right, working with SSDI, most of them have a time element to them. The first one you come across is called a trial work period. Time for you to try working. See how it goes. There's no upper limit. You can earn anything during the trial work period. There are 9 months. There's a time limit. There are 9 months of the trial work period. They do not have to be used all in a row. The trial work is counted right now when you earn $810 or more that month. And this is something people, when I try to describe it, they're definitely asking me, how much can you earn? What's the upper limit? I know there's a limit. Tell me what it is. I say, during the trial work period, there isn't one. And then I say, now 810. Okay, that's the limit. No, it's not. That's not the upper limit. That's a minimum. Anything less than 810 right now, Social Security says, who cares? I mean, that's hardly anything. All right, next. Now, the next work incentive, time-wise, is the extended period of eligibility. Right after you hit the 9th month of your trial work period, you enter the next phase. Oops. It's a 3-year safety net period. Pardon me, we're looking around here. During that time, payments can be will be continued if your countable income is below a certain level called substantial gainful activity. Payments can be suspended if your countable income is above that level. Payments can be reinstated any time during the EPE, that extended period of eligibility, that 3-year safety net, if the countable income goes below the SGA level again. Basically means you can be in and out of payment status. The benefits are not terminated, they can just be suspended. Okay, next. All right, now that term I just mentioned, substantial gainful activity. This is the hot button topic. When somebody calls me up, they ask me, what can I earn? How much, what's the max? If it was a simple number, we put it up on our website and go home. It's not, it's more than that. So it's good to look at not just what your gross earnings are. They start there. They start the gross earnings, but they don't have to stop there. The decision based on several things. Certain work incentives can be used to reduce how much your income is counted. Right now, substantial gainful activity is countable income of $1,130 or more, or if you're blind, $1,820 a month. Okay? Next. The next time-based work incentive is the extended period of Medicare coverage. If your cash benefits stop because you're working, your Medicare coverage won't stop right away. Again, somebody at SSDI will become eligible for Medicare usually after 2 years. What happens? Well, if the cash stops, you can keep your Medicare Part A, that's the hospitalization level, for at least 93 months from the end of your trial work period, and in some cases longer. You can continue to use Part B and Part D, the outpatient and prescription drug coverage, as long as the premiums are paid and you have your disability. Okay. I'm getting a request to slow down a little bit. My apologies. I do tend to speak quickly. Feel free to chime in when you have questions. Moving along, again, feel free to chime in with questions. All right. The last time-based work incentive is called expedited reinstatement. If your cash payments do stop and stay that way, they're terminated, what happens? Is it all gone? You never hear it, never get them again? You know, a lot of people, it took them a long time, an awful lot of effort to get the benefits in the first place. Well, there is one last thing. It's called expedited reinstatement. If your countable income drops below the SGA level, again, within 5 years of termination, you can request expedited reinstatement that the benefits can start back up again. You still have to have a disability. They will do a medical review. While they're processing this, they can give you up to 6 months of provisional payments. All right, so you ask for it. The next month, you start getting payments again, and while they're looking, they will do a medical review. They'll look at your earnings. They'll look at anything else that's relevant. They'll keep paying you while they're working on this. Okay, so again, this is letting you know when payments stop, it's not all gone down the drain. You'll never see them again. Payment benefits can be restarted. If approved, you get a whole new date of entitlement, and all the other work incentives will eventually kick back in. All right. Moving along. Okay. I've said several times already something about countable income. Let's talk about things that can affect countable income. The most common one we deal with are impairment-related work expenses. If you pay for something that is related to an impairment that you have and you need it to be able to work, it could be considered an impairment-related work expense. If Social Security looks at the documentation you provide, and they will want documentation, the amount of your rate can be deducted from your countable income. It's got to be a reasonable expense paid by you in a month that you are working, and no one reimburses you for. So it comes out of your pocket, nobody else's, nobody else pays you back for it. It's an early. Okay, and that can affect countable income. All right, so all kinds of different things can be used to affect countable income. Most common one we deal with are medical expenses, also attendant care services, service animals, durable medical equipment, attendant care services, anything that fits the definition of you paid for it, related to an impairment, and you need it to be able to work. That's an IRB. All right. Next. Again, these are some of the common ones I just mentioned. Subsidy. This is not quite as common as IRBs, but for a lot of people, it can be very relevant. Social Security is supposed to measure your ability to work and earn money, not just your gross earnings, but your ability to work. If your employer makes some kind of reasonable accommodation, Social Security can look at that when it counts your income. Basically, what they're looking for is if you're paid the same as other employees who do similar work, but the quantity or quality is not the same as those other employees, or you get extra support or extra supervision or extra breaks or something provided by the supervisor or coworkers, this can mean you have a subsidy. The amount of the subsidy is rather tricky to quantify. Basically, the employer will have to show what the accommodation was and how that affects your ability to work. But the difference between your work output and that of other employees who are paid the same as you are is considered a subsidy, and Social Security can use that to reduce your countable income by that much. So if you're doing 90% of the work as other employees, but you're still paid the same, Social Security will count 90% of your income. Okay? Next. Special conditions is for folks who get help on the job from some outside source. Typically, those are called job coaches. Pardon me, the acronym there, DOORS, that's Maryland's VR agency, or from an employment network or some other employment support agency. That's called a special condition. If they get intensive job coaching from a job, whatever source that is, The number of hours of intensive job coaching that received on the work site can be factored into how much of your income is counted. Basically, they take the number of hours multiplied by your pay rate. That's subtracted out from your, so if you get 10 hours of job coaching each month, they multiply 10 times your pay rate, that's subtracted from that month's income that they count. It really helps to have that agency track the number of hours of intensive job coaching they provide. All right? I got a request here for examples of IRWIs. So if we want to go back up a couple slides to IRWIs, I can discuss that. All right. Again, most out-of-pocket medical expenses. That is, you go to the doctor to get seen, you get a copay. That copay is an IRWI. You use your prescription, you go to the pharmacy, you buy your prescription, whatever you paid at the pharmacy. That's not reimbursed. It's just your out-of-pocket expense is an IRWI. Those are the most common ones we deal with. Therapies, durable medical equipment. If you have to buy walkers, canes, wheelchairs, stuff along those lines, those oxygen tanks, that's an IRWI. Impairment-related transportation, that's typically paratransit. The most common ones there. If you have to pay somebody to get you up and out the door to go to work each morning, that's a possible IRWI. Adaptive equipment that you use at work, all right, some device of some kind. Service animals, again, anything you pay to get or maintain or to feed or to keep alive that service animal, that's an IRWI. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, where are we? Okay, we finished with special conditions. We'll move along. All right, Medicaid buy-in. And for most people in the country, this is going to be really cool because most of the stuff we've talked about so far is ways to keep something you already have. But this might be a way to get something you don't have right now. It's a way for some individuals with disabilities to get Medicaid if they don't already have it in some way. And it is a work incentive, so the person must be working. It will pay your Medicare premiums. That saves you over $1,200 a year, all by itself. It covers some things that Medicare doesn't. The requirements are varied by state. Each state sets up its own program, and some states have not yet done that. Most have. There are 6 that have not yet started the Medicaid program. You'll have to contact your local WIPA program to find out if they have it. That's probably the easiest way to find out. So we'll talk about finding your local WIPA later. Moving along. All right, let's discuss SSI for a bit. All right. Now, SSI is determined, the amount a person gets is based on lots of different things. And the biggest factor, of course, is other income. It is a needs-based program, so other income will factor into how much you can get. Basically, when your other income goes up, your SSI goes down. But the good news is not all earned income is counted. That means you always have more income between what you get on the job and whatever's left of your SSI than you can possibly get on SSI by itself. The math works in your favor in all cases. Okay, ready? There's a general income exclusion. If a person has any income whatsoever, the first $20 of that is not counted. All right, after that, they have some other unearned income, that is money that's not from the job. After the $20 is excluded, everything else is, with some exceptions. Next. Then there's the earned income exclusion, and that basically means after the $20, there's another $65 that's taken out of any earned income. So you add up your pay stubs from the month, each calendar month, the gross amount. They always start with the gross, but they don't stop there. they subtract $65 from that. What is left is divided by 2. So that means less than half of what you earned is counted against the SSI. That is why I keep saying that the math works in your favor to when you work and you have SSI. It just works out. If you're good, it's for you. Next. Now, this applies to some people, but not everybody. If you are a student, that is, you're in school, and you're not yet 22 years old, there's a much bigger exclusion. You can have up to $1,780 of earned income that's excluded each month, up to a max of $7,180. All right? Now, when I was in school, when I was not yet 22 years old, I never earned anywhere, even when I was 22 years old and out of school. It took me a long time before I earned anywhere close to that. Of course, that was a long time ago. But in any case, this is Social Security saying not only is work a good thing, but being in school is a good thing. If you do both at the same time, all the better. We'll let you earn a lot of money, and your SSI won't be touched. Okay? So again, this is a good thing. Next. Remember impairment-related work expenses? The same things that apply for SSDI apply for SSI. The same kind of expenses can be reduced. Your SSI countable income can be used here. Again, the same medical expenses, et cetera, apply. They can be used in conjunction with the other work incentives as well. All right? Again, just reducing how much of the income is counted, how much is taken out of your SSI amount. Okay? Blind work expenses. Anybody who's blind and has SSI, that is, they meet Social Security's definition of blindness. Social Security has its own. Just about any work expense can qualify as what we call BWE, blind work expense. Again, all kinds of different things. Blind work expenses include transportation costs, meals, eating at work. Imagine that. You go to lunch, you buy a lunch, when the expense there can be deducted from what they count. So you have to buy special clothing for work, work clothes, tools, union dues, taxes. Imagine that. Even the taxes are not going to be counted against you. All right? All right? Social Security will have to make sure that all the stuff fits their criteria, but it's very widely defined. If approved, they deduct it after the remaining countable income is divided by 2, again, making the math work even much more in your favor. So again, working and being blind gives you an extra level of work incentives, meaning very little of your SSI will be counted, will be effective, I should say. Next. Plan for achieving self-support. PASS. This is a targeted work incentive for people who have a work goal. And that goal will, they hope, eventually allow them to reduce their dependence on cash benefits. Basically, you have a dream, an idea, a career in mind that will, at some point, generate enough income for you that you don't need, or at least substantially reduce your dependence on benefits. You tell that to Social Security and say, yay. We love it when people say they're going to work their way off benefits. To get to that point, however, you need some help. You need some money to get going, to whatever it is. It can be all kinds of different things. You can put aside any kind of income, and in some cases financial assets, have excluded from income that is counted in the SSI equation. That means your SSI will go up to replace what you pay for to help you get to your goal. It's fairly complex. In fact, it's the most complex work incentive we deal with. But for some people who are motivated and they have a clear idea of where they're going to get them to that point where they're going to work off their cash benefits, all right, Social Security will say, we'll work with you, we'll help you, we'll invest in you. Basically, Social Security will give you more money than we would normally give you to help you get to that point. All right? Next. Medical assistance, all right? Somebody who has SSI is in most states automatically eligible for Medicaid. In Maryland, we call it medical assistance, but for those of you outside the state, it's Medicaid, whatever program your state has. But what happens if you work and earn so much money that your SSI goes to 0? Step 1, remember, if you're working and your SSI is 0, that means you're earning more than twice what you were getting on SSI to start with. So money-wise, just by the numbers, you're better off. But how about your Medicaid? Well, good news is in most cases you keep it. Provision of the law called 1619B says that as long as it's only earned income and if you weren't working, you'd still have SSI. And you meet all the other eligibility requirements. That is, you still have a disability, you have less than $2,000 in financial assets, you need medical assistance to be able to work. There is an upper limit, but it's a fairly generous upper limit. You keep medical assistance, Medicaid, possibly indefinitely. All right, so you don't lose anything by working. You keep your Medicaid, you have more money to live on, what are you losing? Also, the benefit with this is that means if something happens down the road, you can get your SSI back again without having to apply again in almost all circumstances. All right, next. All right. For more information, this is the Ticket to Work helpline. Again, it's a good starting point. If you have questions about the ticket program, want a list of employment networks, you want to know more about WIPA, they can connect you with the WIPA program in your area. Again, we're all across the country. They can check your location and say, okay, if you ask questions about work incentives planning and assistance, they can connect you. They will refer you to that program. They can also give all about what the ticket program is all about, et cetera. Again, it's a good starting point. Social Security also has all this information online. There's a website there, socialsecurity.gov/work. It talks about the ticket program, it talks about the WIPA program, it talks about all the work incentives that are available. The language there is not necessarily what most people would be able to understand. But again, the chooseworkttw.net, that's also the Ticket to Work website. So you can go online and use that and look what they have there. There's a function that you can use on there that will show you how to connect with your nearest employment network or the best list of employment networks, WIPA programs, etc. All right, and I believe we're almost at the end. One or two more slides, if I remember correctly. If we have any more. Is there any questions? People, I know I've ran through an awful lot of information in the last half hour or so.
Thank you so much, David. We do have quite a lot of questions.
Okay.
Whatever, if people can't stay on to hear all of the answers, that's fine. We'll include them all in the email that we send you of the presentation and the recorded webinar as well. I'll just start, I'll try to get in as many as I can here. So the first one is, how do you find out which benefit you receive, SSDI or SSI?
Okay. The simplest and easiest way to go about it is to look at the award letter you got when your benefits started up. Now, I realize that a lot of people don't keep it, or they put it somewhere and they can't find it. I get that. If you cannot find the award letter that they sent you when your benefits started, which would outline exactly what it is, any information that was mailed to you by Social Security about your benefits, if you look at the very top, and very large, bold letters, it will say either Retirement Survivors for Disability Insurance, which is SSDI, or Supplemental Security Income, that's SSI. That's the one way to go about it. If you can't find any of that, do you have Medicare or do you have Medicaid? That's the next question we typically ask. Somebody has Medicare, they're likely to be getting SSDI. That's Medicaid. That's typically tied to SSI. Next, what's the amount? Now, the base rate that Social Security pays is $733, with some exceptions, but many states supplement that, so their benefit might be larger than that. So that's not as easy best way to do it. But if you're not sure, call your local office. You can call the 88 number, the Social Security 800 number, but you generally don't recommend that unless you have to. Again, the best way to do it is keep whatever Social Security mails you and look at the banner headline.
Okay, great. So the next one is, how do you get reimbursed for the IRWEs that you mentioned?
Well, you don't necessarily get reimbursed. In fact, if you're reimbursed, you can't use them. IRWEs for SSDI, you keep receipts. Anything you pay for that might be an IRWE, you think it could be, keep the receipt. If it's something that a healthcare professional recommended you do, please ask them to put that recommendation in writing, and that Social Security might want to see that too. And when you report your income to Social Security, you're reporting, I worked, I've used my trial work period, I'm reporting my earnings, and I got these expenses I think might be IRWEs. Here's the receipts, here's the documentation, that's what they do. Then Social Security will review it. If it meets the criteria, they'll subtract the IRWEs from the income that they count for you.
Okay.
Works similarly for SSI too. So just when you're reporting, it's just report that to Social Security.
Okay, thank you. The next one is about Ticket to Work. So could you just very, very quickly recap about exactly what it is and how does it work and what the purpose of it is, and, you know, does it count against you in any way?
The ticket does not count in any way, shape, or form against you. Right. It is an option that you have. If you want assistance to get you to employment, that's what they're there for. The ticket system is Social Security saying we're going to invest some money in getting people to work. That's, again, Social Security stated policy that work is a good thing. It does two things. It gets access to support services to help you find and retain work. These are the employment networks. Several of them to choose from. Previous slide, I showed you the 866-968-7842 number that you can use to call the ticket system. There's also the website, chooseworkttw.net. That is available. You can try to use either one of those. Sit down and think for a while before you start calling employment networks to find out what specifically will help you achieve your specific goals, including how do I find out what my goals are. You know, if you need help deciding where you want to go with this, an assessment might be helpful to you. The next thing is it protects you from medical reviews. If you use your ticket and you make timely progress. Now, when I say medical reviews, when a person gets disability benefits, Social Security determines how likely they are to medically recover. That is, they get better sometime in their life. A lot of people never get better. Many people do. And they feel concerned that at some point Social Security will say, guess what? It looks like you're better. Enjoy your life. Goodbye. All right, if that's a concern for you, Social Security says, well, rather you work off benefits than be cut off benefits. Use your ticket, make time of progress. That is, you can show over time that you're getting closer toward the eventual goal of working off the cash benefits. They're not going to do any medical reviews on you. They're going to put that process on hold. Okay? Okay.
Another one, are there any programs for high-wage earners to go back to school and retrain in a different role so they can work?
Okay, absolutely. Again, going back to the ticket system, it's there for that purpose, for somebody to find whatever services, including retraining, going back to either college or some kind of vocational role of some kind, training that will help them start a new career if they find that their old career is not feasible because of the disability. Again, there are lots of employment networks out there. Each one is different. Find out the one that will suit your needs, one that will provide the services, the supports to get you into whatever training program, if that's one of your goals that you need. Not all of them will. A few of them will, but not all. And each one, the way they do it is different. Do your homework. Do some research. There's no blanket answer for this. I'm sorry. I can't give you, oh, you need to call this place and this number right now. I can't do that. You're going to need to sit down and find out what your goals are, get the list of employment networks, find out which ones are going to support your goals and your methods, and we'll work with you to do that. There's also vocational rehabilitation available in every state. And so contact your local voc rehab agency, see if you can get an application into there as well.
Okay. We'll squeeze in just a couple more. We do have quite a few. So I will I'll send those to David, and I will include his responses to those in the email, so don't worry if we don't get around to your questions. I'll just do a couple more for time's sake. Once an individual has been approved for benefits, either SSI or SSDI or both, how soon after can one attempt to return to work? Is it 1 month, 6 months, a year, and does the time frame differ depending on the type of benefit one receives?
Okay, that one's just a little bit tricky, all right, because there is an issue of returning to work within a year, and that work is considered substantial gainful activity. That is, your countable income is above that year's SGA level. The worst thing a person can possibly do, the really most effective way to screw things up royally, is to go to work during that 5-month waiting period between application or onset and entitlement. All right, so if you're applying and you're waiting for benefits to start up, be careful I know you got to work and earn some money, you got to have something to live on, but that's, if your income is considered SGA during that time, it messes things up. Once entitlement has been established, and again, this part's a little tricky because sometimes benefits are approved retroactively back to a period of time within the last couple of years. This person's worked after entitlement and it was considered SGA, that might cause Social Security to change the entitlement date. But the good news is once you have your award letter, That is, that letter from Social Security says you've been approved for benefits on X date. You're good to go. You have a trial work period during which time you can earn anything and won't make a difference. Again, I hope I didn't make things more complicated than they are, but this is Social Security. They really like things to be complicated. They're allergic to simple, to put it bluntly. So if you are very recently got benefits, very recently, and you've got an opportunity to go to work, I strongly recommend you find your local WIPA program, Work Intensive Planning and Assistance, and ask them that question you just asked me, because it gets a little tricky. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. And just the final question regarding special conditions, does it matter who pays for a job coach? What if he gets paid by Medicaid, and can his hours be factored anyway?
It doesn't matter who pays the job coach or the support person. It's just a matter of are they getting intensive services? That is, the job coach is right there with the individual, somehow or another helping them do the job. It's not drop-in services, not observational. It is you're actively doing something to assist the individual to get the job done. And the number of hours over each month that happens, multiplied by your pay rate, that's the special condition. So it doesn't really matter who pays it. It's just a matter of what the actual services are provided on the job site.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, David. I think this has been really, really useful, judging by all of the questions we have. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone else for joining us as well. I apologize about the tech difficulties at the beginning, but we got there in the end, and as I sent out, we will be sending a link to the recorded webinar to everyone if there's anything you've missed. As David said, for more information, you can see on your screen, you can go to the socialsecurity.gov/work website or chooseworkttw.net. We'll also have, some questions coming up at the end. So, as I mentioned before, feel free to let us know how useful this topic was. If there are any other topics around this or anything else around your career development that would be useful, we're happy to take on suggestions and comments about upcoming webinars as well. So thank you again very much, and I will leave it there with you, David. Goodbye.
Bye.